And once again, everybody's chasing North Dakota State for that national championship. Welcome into our FCS selection special. There are 125 football teams that play at the FCS level. Not 4, but 24 of them will have a shot at competing for a national championship. In the next 10 minutes, you'll know who's in, who's out, who's playing where and when. Matt Schick, Rini Ingolia, and Jay Walker. Tell me what you're most interested in seeing here with this bracket.
Yeah, the CAA, Colonial Athletic Association, this year kind of beat each other up. So I'm curious how many they get in.
A lot of heartbreak. I think this is heartbreak Sundays. We've come to know it. You know, have you done enough work to keep your season alive? That's what I want to see. It's that time of year. You always get excited about that. And I also think there have been a lot of new programs that are new to the scene that were on that bubble. How many of those new schools that weren't playing football 5 to 10 years ago are we going to see today?
Now, let's get you up to speed on how this playoff system works. Again, there are 10 automatic qualifiers, 14 at-larges. The top 8 overall seeds receive first-round byes. The top 2 seeds get home field advantage until the national championship game in Frisco, Texas. Teams from the same conference will not be paired for first-round games unless they did not play each other in the regular season. So keep that in mind. We've got some teams watching, including last year's national runner-up. James Madison won the national championship a couple of years ago, runner-up last year, hoping to get one of those top 8 seeds. We shall see. And then in Georgia, Kennesaw State hanging out as well. There they are, just their 4th year of existence, made the playoffs last year.
One of those newer programs we're talking about made an impact last year. Can they keep it going? How do they handle success now that they become known as a successful program?
We know they are one of the top 4 seeds. Those were announced just in no particular order. It's now time to find out that particular order with the top 8 seeds, 1 through 8. And once again, the road to Frisco goes through Fargo. North Dakota State, the 6-time national champs, back in at number 1.
Listen, Matt, 28-2 all-time in this championship. I mean, need I say more? It's a team that plays great defense. They're an experienced bunch. And as you said, home field advantage all the way through, go through the Fargo Dome.
Number 2 overall seed, Weber State Wildcats out of the Big Sky, getting a Big Sky automatic bid, their 3rd straight FCS playoff appearance, Rini.
Yeah, absolutely. Another really good team. Weber State, excellent defensively as well. Also going to have home field advantage, 25 takeaways on the year. That's one stat I look at.
All right, Eastern Washington Eagles out of the Big Sky get the number 3 overall seed back in the playoffs after missing last year. That red field back on your TV, Jay.
Back on the Inferno, but this is huge. Them getting the number 3 spot compared to the number 4 spot. That means you avoid going to Fargo if you handle your business. Great job by Eric Best, losing Gage Gubro, and still having a great year.
Well, that means Kennesaw State would head to Fargo if they eventually get that far, and North Dakota State continues to win the Big South automatic bid.
And I think this is the biggest shocker right here. Having Kennesaw State come in at number 4, this was a team that was number 2 throughout much of the football season. Hey, they're going to have to go through North Dakota State if they want to achieve their dream of a championship.
Highest scoring team in the FCS, led by quarterback Chandler Burks, and there they are. 4th year of the program. I think we interrupted a meal.
Yeah. Having a good time.
Congratulations to the Kennesaw State Owls. Here are the rest of your top 8. South Dakota State Jackrabbits out of the Missouri Valley. Taryn Christian, Cade Johnson, great connection there on offense. Their 7th playoff appearance. UC Davis Aggies out of the Big Sky. So 3 Big Sky teams getting top 8s. Head coach Dan Hawkins gets his alma mater into the FCS playoffs for the first time. The Maine Black Bears out of the Colonial. The lone Colonial team with a top 8 seed. Got that automatic bid. One of the best defenses in the FCS. Their first playoff berth in 5 years. The Colgate Raiders, the champs out of the Patriot League. Their only loss came yesterday against Army. They lead the FCS in total defense. Their 11th appearance in the FCS playoffs. So those are your top 8. Are you ready for the bracket, gentlemen?
Let's do it.
Bracket me.
Give
it to me.
Let's go.
Give the people what they want, Matt Schick.
Let's start there with North Dakota State, and you see in that bracket, Montana State Bobcats will host in Bozeman, Montana, out of the Big Sky. They will face Incarnate Word. The Cardinals out of the Southland Conference went 1-10 last year. they make their first appearance.
That's the feel-good story. Rewarded for a fantastic season this year, turning that around. One of those programs hasn't been around too long. Give credit for Montana State winning that game versus in-state rival Montana. Lose or go home, Montana State gets to live to play another day.
Carter Ward may need to cancel that game against Iowa State.
Already canceled, baby. They're going to the playoffs.
December 1st. We shall see. All right. Colgate, you see there out of the Patriot League, there's James Madison out of the Colonial, the two-time national champs, last year's national runner-up at 8-3, and they will face the Delaware Blue Hens out of the Colonial. So two Colonial teams did not play in the regular season. That's why you have the matchup there. Congratulations to Delaware. Their longest absence is over. First appearance since 2010, Rini.
First big shock, though, James Madison not seeded. So if they're going to make it back to the championship for a third year in a row, if they get through Delaware, they're going to have to do it on the road. And as you said, Delaware, a team that hasn't been there in a while, they're back under Coach Danny Rocco. Should be a good game.
Interesting side of the bracket there. We continue to move down. The South Dakota State Jackrabbits. There you see in the first round, the Towson Tigers out of the Colonial will host in Maryland as they make their third tournament appearance there in the FCS playoffs. They will open up at home against the Duquesne Dukes, the Northeast Conference automatic bid. Head coach Jerry Schmidt getting his team back in.
Schmidt has a very balanced ball squad there. They've been battle tested. They've gone on the road in the playoffs before. Head coach Rob Ambrose from Towson. Hey, you got to say, look at all these CAA teams. Can I get away from them? If you win, you know you're going to face some more CAA teams. But Towson could have been a national seed, possibly, with the victory yesterday. They didn't get it done, so now they're hosting a first-round game.
Towson quarterback Tom Flacco, brother of Joe Flacco there in the NFL, certainly has the bloodlines there. The Wofford Terriers out of the Southern Conference, getting that automatic bid. They will host in Spartanburg the Elon Phoenix. Season of 6-4 and their third FCS playoff appearance.
New head coach at Wofford, Josh Conklin, but same old story. Run the football. 330 yards a game, fifth in FCS. And Elon, another CAA team, making it only with 6 wins this year, though.
Wofford and Elon. Again, you see, you can kind of notice that bottom of those teams that got in. You see some 6-win teams. All right, let's go. The other side of the bracket. You see Eastern Washington there as the number 3. The Nichols Colonels out of the Southland Conference getting that automatic bid. Back-to-back FCS appearances. They will face the San Diego Toreros, who got that automatic bid out of the Pioneer Football League. Boy, they can score some points. Anthony Lawrence and Michael Bandy. Nice connection there, Jay.
Yeah. Keep an eye on San Diego. They're really good. Went on the road last year. Very impressive win at Northern Arizona. They won't be intimidated going down to Louisiana, taking on the Colonels from Nicholls State. Nicholls State, that's 2 teams in already from the Southland Conference. We don't normally see that all the time.
Working our way down. UNI, the Northern Iowa Panthers out of Missouri Valley Conference. They get into the FCS playoffs again. They will host in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Ooh, the Lamar Cardinals out of Beaumont, Texas, out of the Southland Conference. Their first FCS playoff appearance. Congrats to Mike Schull.
Yeah, boy, another 6-win team getting in. Northern Iowa, a team that plays great defense, only giving up 131 yards of rush defense. And Lamar, congratulations to them. That's a program that was 5-17 the last 2 years. They're in.
Yeah, they resumed their football program in 2010 after being dormant for more than or nearly 20 years. Let's continue to move on down. Jacksonville State, the Gamecocks out of the Ohio Valley Conference, getting that automatic bid. One of the best offenses in the FCS. They will face the East Tennessee State Buccaneers. I know they were sweating it out there in Johnson City. Randy Sanders and company are back in, Jay.
Everybody's sweating right now. There's only 2 spots left, Matt. But think about it. I like the star power in this one. Quarterback Zurich Cooper for Jacksonville State, dual threat, dynamic player, and running back Quay Holmes for the Buccaneers of ETSU. We're going to see who can get it done, but that's a very interesting matchup on paper.
Again, East Tennessee State returned their football program in 2015. They're back in for the first time.
Give them the drum roll right here, man. Give them the drum roll.
Southeast Missouri
1 spot
State.
left.
The Red Hawks out of the Ohio Valley. So we've got 2 OVC teams in. Who's in here for the final spot? Going to Southeast Missouri State. It's the Stony Brook Seawolves, another colonial team. So we've got 6 teams from the CAA. They are in. Stony Brook heading to Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah, Southeast Missouri State. The one stat I look at is turnover ratio, plus 23 for them. #1 in the nation, 31 takeaways. And as you said, Stony Brook from the CAA makes it and lost yesterday on a last-second field goal to Albany. Obviously, the committee likes the CAA. The Seawolves are in.
It's a lot of CAA. They like a lot of CAA, don't they?
Southeast Missouri State back in for the first time in 8 years. All right, brackets unveiled. 24 teams. We know the who, the where. What about the why? What's your reasoning here or the big takeaway?
I think a lot of the carnage was done the weekend before.
Yeah,
not this past weekend, but the weekend before, there were a lot of teams that lost. And I think that made the committee's job a lot easier. I like the creativity going out there, getting some of these programs you may not have heard from before, but they're playing football at a very high level. They should keep that going. But as we mentioned before, a number of teams with just 6 wins. Normally 6 wins does not get you in, but you've got a lot of them this year.
Couple observations. 6 teams from the CAA make it. Obviously, the committee liked them, but interesting enough, only 1 seeded team, Maine at 7. And as you said, Jay, 3 teams with only 6 wins made the championship this year.
At-larges.
Yeah, all at-larges.
All at-larges there. So a little thin there at the bottom. It might be top-heavy. North Dakota State head coach Chris Kleiman joins us now here on the phone. Chris, I'm sure it was maybe no surprise you're on the top line getting that #1 overall seed. I know you say, though, it's all about matchups. What do you think about potential matchups? How do you view those on your side of the bracket? You got South Dakota State there as well. How do you see it?
Well, you're right. It is all about matchups, and we're just thrilled to be in the tournament and thrilled to be able to host home games and everything come through the Fargo Dome. And, you know, I haven't kind of dove into all the brackets yet, but we see that Montana State, Incarnate Word, will have to start preparing for those guys this week.
Coach, your half of the bracket, as I look at it, looks stacked. And you got JMU, who's actually won in the Fargo Dome before. May have to do it. We'll have to do it on the road. They're not even a seeded team. So, yeah, that half is stacked. 28-2 all time. Not much love, though. You got a tough bracket.
Yeah, I think no matter what, you're going to face really good teams, and once you get into the tournament, and I'm excited that they have to come through the Fargo Dome. But as we've told our guys, it's just 1 week at a time and 1 day at a time, and we've got to focus on the task at hand, which will be the winner of that first game before they get to the Fargo Dome.
Well, let's talk about the Bison, Coach Kleiman. You guys have the history there. We know about the program there. You guys were the cream of the crop. Then James Madison took your title. You went back and got it back. And this year, you put yourself in a position to once again be the man. What's your mindset of your team when you start thinking about postseason this time around as a defending national champions again?
Well, we've got 24 great seniors that have done a phenomenal job of leading our program, and they had a goal to set out to win the Missouri Valley Conference. And if you do that, you typically get a good seed and you have an opportunity to play some home games. And then in the back of their minds, I think they wanted a perfect regular season. And we don't talk about that stuff publicly, but you know, every week was a kind of a 1-0 week, and we were able to go through the Valley, which is we think is the best conference in FCS. We were able to go through that undefeated, and I just can't say enough about the 24 seniors that have done a phenomenal job leading our football team.
What about one of those seniors, quarterback Easton Stick? What has he meant to this program as he goes through his final go-round in the postseason?
Well, he's the best leader I've ever been around. He's a servant leader. He makes everybody around him so much better. He's playing at an extremely high level, and credit that to his preparation. You know, he prepares, I think, as well as anybody in college football, watching film and making sure that he's ready to go come Saturday by what he watches Monday through Friday. So just a consummate professional as far as being able to prepare on a daily basis to give himself a chance to be successful on Saturday.
Chris, appreciate the time. Congratulations. Best of luck. We'll see you down the road.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Chris Kleiman, head coach of the North Dakota State Bison, as they try to repeat something that they've done 5 straight, in fact, from 2011 to 2015. Other teams who've repeated as FCS champs: App State, winners of 3 in a row in the mid-2000s. Georgia Southern, which pulled back-to-back on 3 different occasions. And
Man, pay homage to the legends here. That screen right there has legends. You got Carson Wentz, North Dakota State, Brock Jensen. You got App State with Armani Edwards and what they're able to do. And how about Tracy Ham and the Ham Bone and the young Paul Johnson, what they're able to do. And then you know about Jim Tressel with the Youngstown State Penguins. Pay homage to those people getting that done, Matt Chick.
I think you just forced me to.
Yeah, I think you did it, Jay.
Up next, Welcome back to our FCS selection special. There's the trophy they're all playing for. The most current edition resides in Fargo, North Dakota. The reigning champion, Bison. Here's who's playing for it. Again, 24 of the 125 FCS teams are involved. Montana State hosts, as does James Madison. Towson hosts a first-round game, as does Wofford. You see those top 4 of the top 8s, North Dakota State, Colgate, South Dakota State, and Kennesaw State. That is a brutal side of the bracket. The other side, Nichols will host, as will UNI, Jacksonville State, and Southeast Missouri State in those first-round games. Eastern Washington, UC Davis, Maine, and Weber State all await those first-round winners. Let's welcome in Brad Teague, Central Arkansas Athletic Director. Dr. Teague joins us now as the selection committee chair. Can you tell us what was the most contentious point of argument there and debate inside that committee room?
Hey, Matt. Yeah, thanks for having us on today. You know, the issue we have is there's so many good teams around the country, and we have a finite number of slots. You know, we have 24 slots, and then there's 8 seeds, and we have so many good teams. Many are deserving of being a top 8 seed. We just have a finite slot. I guess we're lucky we don't have 4 slots, and we do have 24. But, you know, that's what's tough. It's trying to figure out really who deserves to be in the field, first of all, and then who deserves to be in the top 8.
Interested how you weigh strength of league versus strength of individual teams. You've got 6 teams. That's a record from the Colonial Athletic Association, but only one of those teams is seeded. James Madison, of course, I'm referring to, the Dukes not getting one of those top 8. What was that discussion about?
Yeah, what a great year for the Colonial. It was very impressive to the committee, but they did beat each other up. However, they all got to 7 wins. So that was a significant number of wins. And that strength is so strong. And so we decided, you know, we really needed to put their conference champion as a seed. And Maine had a great win over UNH that James Madison did not. Colgate, however, also beat UNH. So those are really the deciding factors for us, that James Madison was out of the seeding and Maine and Colgate were in.
Pretty thin there at the bottom in this 2014 field this year as we look at the last 3 in and the first 3 out here in this field of 24 for the FCS playoffs in alphabetical order. It's East Tennessee State from the SoCon, Incarnate Word, Lamar from the Southland, first 3 out, Indiana State from the Missouri Valley, Monmouth from the Big South, and there you have North Dakota as well. What were some of those determining factors that separated the ins from the outs?
You know, a lot of things happened yesterday, and there were some defeats that we didn't anticipate. And it did drop the total wins for a lot of those bottom teams, and we got into the 6 wins. And, you know, in the past, we've been at 7 wins. Sometimes there's a few at 6, but this year we had a lot of 6-win teams, all very good teams, but not everybody can get in. So we had a lot of discussion with those final 3 who were in and the final 3 who were out, and it's tough. It's a lot of debating in the room, a lot of discussion, a lot of comparison data, and at the end of the day, we felt like the 3 teams in were the ones who should be.
Brad, what about the teams that shared conference titles? You look at the Big Sky. They had tri-champions. They all get in. The Southland had co-champs. They both get in, including Lamar. The SoCon had tri-champs, but only 2 get in. Furman did not get in, weren't even on the bubble. How do you view that and that decision with Furman?
Yeah, so Furman was a great discussion in the room, and they had a great year as well. What it came down to for Furman was they had a win against Wofford, and that was their significant achievement. And then the other champions, co-champions or tri-champions, had more significant wins. And so when we matched those up, we felt like the other teams were more deserving.
Dr. Brad Teague, the selection committee chair, appreciate your time. Congrats on the bracket, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, Brad Teague, the selection committee chair. And we mentioned one of those points of contention could be with the James Madison Dukes not getting one of the top 8s, but still thrilled to get in to the field. You certainly can't take that for granted. We want to welcome in the head coach of JMU, Mike Houston. Mike, national champs in 16, national runner-up in 17. You had to like your chances of getting a top 8 after you took down Towson. What was your reaction and the team's reaction to not getting one of those top 8?
Well, I would say it's fairly disrespectful, you know, from our standpoint. I think that we're definitely one of the 8 best teams in the country, but all that being said, you know, the selection committees, they've got tough choices to make. They've got to do it from an unbiased viewpoint, and so we're excited to be in the tournament. We look forward to this coming Saturday and having Delaware here, another, really top team, I think, nationally. So it should be a great matchup, and hopefully we can survive and advance.
I assume you heard what the selection committee chair, Brad Teague, had to say about the reasoning as I asked that question. What was your response to that?
Correct. Well, we did lose to a healthy New Hampshire team up there. Maine and Colgate did beat a heavily injured New Hampshire team earlier in the season. So I don't know if that was taken into account, but that's the facts. But we did lose the game. We can control what we can control. We didn't get that done during the regular season, so we don't have anybody to blame but ourselves. But we're excited to be in the tournament, as I said, and look forward to this coming Saturday at home.
Coach, Rini Agoli here. Again, congratulations on getting in. Obviously, just a longer road, right?
Thanks.
If you want to make it to the third straight championship. Yep. We saw Youngstown State do it a couple of years ago. So if you can get by Delaware, you're on the road. But you talked about the disrespect. Does that give you guys a little chip on your shoulder now getting into this tournament?
I can promise you. But at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to how we respond. And, we've got a big challenge this coming week. We've seen Delaware on film a good bit throughout the year. Coach Rocco does a great job year in and year out, so it's going to be a very challenging first-round game. But it's one that we'll be ready for, and hopefully we'll be able to find a way to win.
Coach, in more recent years, you all are a team that we can say is truly battle-tested. You've won it all. You've been the runner-up. How does that prepare you for the challenge you have at hand in this year's college football playoff for FCS football?
Well, I think our older players, they understand the playoff format. They understand what it takes to win big games in the postseason. They understand what it takes to win big games on the road in the postseason. So, I do think that experience from our older players that have been there and done that will certainly be a benefit. Our young players, it's their first time through this situation. Hopefully they'll feed off of that experience in that leadership, from our older players in the program.
Well, there might be some anger and frustration, but there's certainly not going to be any trepidation. JMU, you know how to get it done. Mike Houston, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck to you. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks a lot for having me on. Right. Go Dukes.
There you go. Go Dukes. Mike Houston. He's got to go. They got to prepare.